What's up guys, it's Dan, back with another video. So, my last video, which I think was my last video, was about how good the M1 Mac Mini actually is and how it's the desktop to buy. Well, I've got another one here for you today, but it's not about the Mac Mini M1. Welcome back guys. So what am I talking about? You're looking at this screen going, what is this fat dude going on about now? Well, it's another Mac, and for me this is the best laptop you can buy right now. This is the M1 Mac Mini. Eye roll. Ooh, yeah, whatever. This thing is awesome. How awesome? Well, let me tell you. So, like the Mac Mini, this has the M1 chip inside there, and it also, like the $1,300 MacBook Pro, also has the same M1 chip in there. Now, the graphics on this have been pulled back. It's only got 7 cores for its graphics instead of the 8, and it also doesn't have a fan. So, how does that affect the MacBook Air? Not really a whole lot. So let's talk about it. So just like the Mac Mini, like we're saying, you can run iPad apps, iPhone apps, and anything that's built for the M1 chip will work golden on the MacBook Air. I have the base version, so again, 8GB of RAM, don't have a meltdown, it's unified. Like I said in my last video, it's not like having an Intel setup where you've got separate RAM. This is all on one chip, all talks directly. There's nothing where it has to swap out or anything. Everything just talks. It doesn't have to copy things, and like RAM normally works. It's there. Direct communication between everything works a lot better than actual regular RAM, as you may as well know it. And again, it's not a problem with this. Again, I have the 256GB version of this. I use SSDs. I quite like using SSDs. That way I can carry my stuff around with me, video clips, things like that. So that's why I go with the lower storage. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I need at least 0.5 TB or 1 TB, and I can understand that if you like to store everything on your device. I don't. I like to pull it on, pull it off, whatever. Just take it as I need it or file it away on the SSDs, and it works great with either way for me. So yes, so like the Mac Mini, as I said, it's got the M1, and again, it can run Final Cut Pro, and anything intensive like that flies through it just like that. Now, what this doesn't have is a fan like the MacBook Pro does and what the Mac Mini does. And why is that important? Well, this will throttle a little bit, but not a lot, and it's not like the old i3 or the i5 or i7 Mac Mini, which really would get hot and throttle. It takes a little bit of time for that to happen, and it doesn't really affect the performance at all. So don't worry if that's what you're thinking. Oh, it's fanless. What's great is it is fanless. It's silent. It's nice to be able to use a laptop. Going from the Mac Mini to, I have a Lenovo 7i gaming laptop. Obviously a totally different beast altogether. But going from this silent Mac Mini to opening that up, I instantly hear the fan, even as it's just booting up. Again, my Godox here, I hear the fan. You hear things like that in computers now, thanks to these M1 devices running so silent and so efficiently. Their battery life, if you're looking at getting something portable that's not an iPad, that has outstanding battery life, they say 20 hours. I've not done that yet. I've not let it just run out, but it can go for days and not die. And then I will plug it in after a few days, just because, you know, it might be sat on the desk, so I'll plug it in while it's just sat there. Not a problem. But the battery life on it is absolutely insane. And the other good thing about these M1s, and I think it's the same with all other MacBooks in the past, but even when it's unplugged, it runs balls to the wall. Full power. Not like where Windows, you'd have to go in and set it up to use full power on battery. Macs just do it, and it doesn't affect the battery life whatsoever. The battery life on this thing is absolutely king. So why did I sell my 16-inch MacBook Pro and go with the Mac Mini? With the MacBook Air, sorry. It's all this Mac stuff going on in my head at the moment. Because I wasn't using the 16-inch MacBook Pro enough to warrant the price of it. And when I sold that, for what I sold that for, I bought my Mac Mini M1, and I was luckily enough, very lucky, and you want to keep your eyes open for this, in Best Buy they had an open box M1 MacBook Air for $818. What? So yeah, $818, even at $1,000 I'd be super impressed with the way it performs, but $818. So I got both my new Apple setups for the price or less than what I sold my 16-inch MacBook Pro for, which is awesome because for me, both of them seem to outperform the 16-inch MacBook Pro. That M1 chip, just like with the Mac Mini, and if you've not watched the Mac Mini video, I'll go into it a little bit here. But if you have, just forward it on for a couple of minutes. But Final Cut Pro, it edits through Final Cut Pro, mashes through, no problem. Scrub that timeline, no lags, drop frames, no nothing. That's 1080p or 4K, has transitions in there and effects. It just does it. It doesn't affect it whatsoever. Anything that's been made to run with the M1 chips or a lot of Apple apps, flawless. They open like instant. It's just like using the iPad because it's just the way it is. Everything just, you double click or you click, bang, it's open. Anything that's not been made to run with the M1 chip will go through Rosetta 2. What Rosetta 2 does is recompiles that Intel based app and then will make it work on your M1. Now when you first boot it up, sorry about that, I didn't mute my iPhone. Yeah, me with an iPhone. I've got a video coming about that as well. And it's not the 12 Pro Max that I had. That's gone. Anyway, that's another story. But once you have these programs, when you open them up and you download the Rosetta 2, it recompiles it once, so it might take a few seconds to open. But every other time you open it after it's done the initial recompile, it will open just fine. And things like Photoshop on this, once they go through Rosetta 2, work absolutely fine. No problem. I hate to say this because people are probably going to pull me on it, and it could be totally placebo, but they seem to work better going through Rosetta 2 on the M1 than what they would do on an Intel-based Mac. I don't know. I'm just saying. It really is. Now, obviously, if you're wanting to game or anything, I mean, I suppose it could game if Fortnite was still available or something like that. You know, you could get it, but for gaming, this isn't for you. But if this is something where you might be doing video editing, photography, anything like that, just basic computer needs. Excuse me, let me just turn off my iPhone 12 mini. Be gone, Twitter. Be gone. That's who it was. But, yeah, just awesome. For gaming, no. But for anyone doing video editing, maybe editing photography, writing, just looking for a really fast, reliable laptop that's not really going to break the bank, there is nothing comparable. Unless you buy a gaming laptop with a decent graphics card in it, there's nothing comparable to how fast this thing is. And even when you buy a gaming desktop, a gaming laptop, a Windows gaming laptop, things don't open instantly like they do on this. You're going to get fan noise. It's going to be heavy. The MacBook Air, let me just grab a hold of it. The MacBook Air is just so small and tiny and so easy. It's just like, this thing is a beast. And then it's got this function where you open it up and it's on straight away. That's it. It's on. Watch. I'll do it again. Over my fat face. It's instant on. It's such a good device, and it's built just like the regular i3, i5, i7 2020 MacBook Airs, and the 2018, I believe, as well, was also the same as this, but it knocks the spots off them. There is no reason, I really can't say with good conscience, unless you're going into the used market where you want to save a few $100, there is absolutely no reason for you to go out and buy an Intel-based MacBook. And I would honestly say, unless you have to have the touch bar, the slightly better screen. My old eyes can't see the difference, but if you've got to have the touch bar, the extra core with the fan, then you might want to spend $300 extra. I don't see why you would need to. The MacBook Air is fine. This is the best MacBook Apple have made, and it's a bargain, just like the Mac Mini. Yeah, I'm shocked about it. The only problem is you only get your 2 ports on the side, and that's kind of crummy. So you have to go out and buy a hyperdrive or a dock or whatever. But hey, that's been Apple for a few years now. They create you a problem and then they sell you a fix down the road, because Apple are great like that. It's just a really good business practice for them, and we just sit there and take it like suckers. But yeah, so if you're looking at a MacBook and you're wondering which one to get out, the Pro and the Air, definitely go with the M1 MacBook Air, because you're gonna, unless you're really going for it with some hardcore programs, I don't see why you would buy the 13-inch MacBook Pro unless you really have to have the touch bar. I don't like the touch bar, forget that. And if you're really running something that hardcore and you're worried about it, wait for the 16-inch MacBook Pro. That's obviously going to come out with an M1X or whatever they're calling it, and the new iMacs. So you may want to just wait for that. But as of right now, this is great for everybody and anybody. Go buy one, especially if you can get one at open box. Man, that's a deal. $818. Keep your eye on Best Buy. All right, guys. English Dan signing out. Back in the next one.